The Goddess Demonized. Let us explore some of the ways that the goddess has been demonized by the prevailing mindset on Earth over the last 6,000 years. As stated above, the goddess is present wherever the natural feminine exists, which is to say, in each person, in nature, and in half of the ways of being available to you as a human on Earth. The situation that you have struggled with and are now ready to change asks you to become conscious of this demonization. Once you are conscious of and understand it, the breadth and scope of the issue, you will naturally come to see ways to emerge from it. In the sections below, I will discuss how the distortion regarding your collective conception of natural feminine affects several major arenas of human life and share with you how to shift perspective and ways of being in each arena. Via the Earth. One of the easiest ways to see how the goddess has been and is continually demonized is how you conceive of and discuss weather events that affect you adversely. The storm pummeled the coastline and destroyed hundreds of homes. Thousands of people find themselves homeless as a result. Hurricanes have been hammering the little country for decades, and so on. What this does is personify nature into an aggressor, which is part of the cultural process to demonize the natural feminine. Remember that at one time you felt a part of the process of nature and you felt at home on the earth. This was, in fact, for a great deal of your history, and so while the phase you have been in is relatively brief, it's logic that serves to separate you from feeling good about relating to the earth and the natural feminine has found a very deep rootedness in your collective awareness. This sort of thinking and languaging serves to personify nature, something you have always been familiar with, so it echoes a mode that is familiar to you. Yet it is another way of thinking and creating the world around you that does not have your highest good in mind and does not support you in living in the kinds of lives that you wish to live when it comes to feeling at home on the earth and evolving your conception of self through higher states of consciousness. What is true that humanity needs to remember is that it is in fact subject to experiencing the results of the ongoing cycles of nature. As members of the system of life on the planet, this is part of the experience of all life forms on Earth. I also remind you of the complex and multidimensional soul journey that each of you is on, and that experiencing these difficult situations on Earth has always been and will always be part of what it means and takes and requires to live on Earth, what each soul signs up repeatedly to learn. You are now tasked with healing your pained memories of having been subject to what has become perceived as the violence brought to you by the earth. You must change your mind about why you perceive these situations have happened and why you believe on the deepest levels that they have happened to you. Via food and self-care. When people get sick from eating contaminated food, nature is automatically the culprit. A bacteria or virus is named that is the accepted source of the contagion, and it is reinforced with your psyche that nature is your enemy. What has happened is that the ways that the foods have been grown, prepared, and or processed have been some standard or sloppy, or the state of the industry is so terrible that the entire set of food sources for a particular product are or have been and are perennially tainted. Watch the energetic and emotional reactions within yourself and others the next time there is a salmonella outbreak sourced in some restaurant somewhere in your country. Observe the fear that might come up in you and others, and remember the purpose that this fear serves, to keep you afraid of feeling safe as part of nature and the systems of life that exist on the earth itself. Choose to see the incident for what it is, and not as meaning that nature is out to get humans. Nature is not out to get you. What you know as germ theory is in fact another attempt by your linear, logic-based mind, culture, to work and live with the perception that nature is your enemy. This way of thinking has become entrenched in your very identities, and you vaccinate your babies against the horrors of disease, often exposing them in the process to being worse off, right off the bat, than the small chance they might contract the disease down the road. The fact is that your bodies are energy systems that respond to the other energy systems around them, and illness and disease are in fact communication to you from your body that something in your system is out of balance. Because of the state of the imbalance within your mind, that your logical linear mind takes over as a result of your conditioning, you in fact need your bodies to talk to you, to tell you where attention is needed. As it is now, something begins to feel funny in your physical body and you rush to fear about what it might be. Or you begin to feel a part of your body talking to you and you dismiss it, figuring it was something you ate. It is time that you put a stop to dismissing the wisdom of your body. It is imperative that you now commit to listening to what your body is telling you, neither rushing to judgment and fear or letting it pass out of your awareness unheeded. The goddess has been demonized to the point that you are finding it at times very difficult to be in your physical body. Think about that for a moment. Take that in. Your body connects you to the earth. It is an extension of the earth. The cultural edict that the body is a machine that breaks down, the root of all the allopathic medical way of thinking and conceiving of a human and the human body, is a direct reflection of the cultural lack of willingness to engage with the goddess and of the fear of admitting her into conscious awareness and knowing who she is. If she were engaged through the body, all the cleverness and tricks of the mind and medical research would be seen for what it is, mental exercise that attempts to solve a problem that is in fact not so much a problem as a state of affairs you are terrified to deal with and open to understand as it naturally occurs. The entire allopathic establishment on your planet, which is now replacing all over the globe traditional forms of healing and medicine that in fact support people in retaining a connection to the divine feminine in the form of the earth, is aimed at trying to fix things that go wrong, but it results in keeping those who experience it from being happy about being in their bodies. The damage that is done at just about every turn through allopathic medical means takes a toll on your relationship to the earth and the goddess that you do need to look at. Because of the demonization of the goddess, the state of your relationship with your body has gotten to the point that many of you are not sure what you are supposed to think about having a body and caring for it. When you are in your head, the body doesn't make sense, and all humans have been trained in at least some of their souls' lives to live in and through their heads. If you take time to get to know your body and what it wants and needs and how it serves a feedback mechanism for all that is happening in your life, your health in general and your experience of your body would shift dramatically. Another note on your health is that this separation from the goddess has brought you to feel that you are unsafe in nature. This affects your immune system. Please see how the demonization of the natural feminine and the goddess herself have led to this weakened immune response in many people. The health of any human can be radically transformed by choosing to embrace the goddess within and as she appears in the natural world. Choose now to alter your relationship with your feminine side and how you run this energy, and you will change your life and health for the better. You can, in fact, choose to feel safe on the earth and in your body. Via sexuality. We will focus now on this demonization of the goddess and the natural feminine in this discussion on sex and sexuality. Food and nature, weather, the body, and self-care are all important avenues to come to know and reconnect with the goddess as the earth and within you. Yet the state of human sexuality at this time on earth is such that it deserves quite a bit more attention. The goddess is demonized through human sexuality whenever there is a natural human sexual urge that is edited or blocked. It has occurred in calculated ways over the millennia that affect masses of people, of course, but it happens now on a daily basis in the lives of individuals when there is some sort of hesitation to be true to self when it comes to sexuality. There is a rich and complex history that all of you have lived out as you have lived many lives spread out along the Earth timeline that has to do with being told that you are to fight your true natures because they are dangerous. You have, in the course of your many lives, had to deny some aspect of your sexual selves in order to remain acceptable to others and thereby to ensure that you can gain and retain status and make sure that you can survive in the social structures humans have created for themselves. Where you have not denied your true self, you have many times found judgment and punishment from others, and this has left deep marks upon your energy field, the part of you that travels into each of your human lives and is attached to your physical bodies. As a result, many humans now carry in their energy fields judgment and shame that has been generated through others and taken into their own energy fields in the form of beliefs about issues related to sexuality and sexual expression. These energetic signatures lead a person to judge his or her own sexual self, as well as judge others for theirs. Do you see that you, as a human trained by the cultures in which you have lived for thousands of years, have been exposed to these judgments about sex and sexuality? Even where you have not taken these attitudes on in this life, or where you have shed them after a time, your many lives on earth along this timeline for 6,000 years have been shaped by these collective judgments about sexuality and sexual expression. I use the word demonization in this context because your natural urges have been explained to you in terms of the negativity they will generate if expressed. As a collective, you have been taught again and again that at least some of your desires are probably bad or unhealthy, though they, of course, make you feel wonderful, and it has been difficult for most humans to escape this conditioning. Now there is such judgment surrounding sexuality that it comes out as distortion, and this leads to sexual violence of all kinds. As explored above, the culture creators needed to come into control of a woman's sexuality in one way or another to ensure that the procreation taking place entirely within her physical body could be controlled and predicted. The most dangerous thing to the way much of life is set up on your planet at this time is your natural sexual urges. This is not to say that the most dangerous thing is a woman's natural sexual urges. It is that all natural sexuality innate to both kinds of humans could destroy the fabric of society that you are at present trying to decide if you will cling to. When men and women honor their natural sexual selves, regardless of sexual orientation and state of relationship, many beautiful things unfold. Much communication on subtle energetic levels takes place. You learn about who you really are as you surrender in healthy ways to the lessons and invitations brought to you by your karma mates, those who have opted to join you along your path in order to reveal more to you about who you really are. There is a natural flow that opens between karma mates, and they want to listen to their bodies and beings as a whole, because there is a feeling triggered upon meeting that they have to be real with each other and learn more about who they really are, and not who they have through various means come over time to think that they are. One of the functions of karma mates for humans, in fact, is opening each other to love, this most basic feature of who you are, yet one that can become covered over in the debris of your relationship and life history, and in some ways be forgotten. It is these levels of communication having to do with love that have needed to be devalued and often blocked and ended in order for this particular social setup you call the patriarchy to take root, prosper, and spread. When this subtle communication is allowed to take place, sexual relationships come in and out of one's life, and sometimes they do not last very long. Others will, of course, last a very long time, but many will not. These relationships for you happen according to natural rhythms between you and the other people, and there is a flow to how they unfold in their beginning and ending. Much of your learning as souls in human form requires this stream of sharing energy and emotion with others on these subtle levels, and you cannot evolve as souls having human experience without each other, and you cannot do this outside of natural sexual expression with each other. The goddess is present in each and every naturally driven function in our lives. She is there when you hear your instinct, when your body asks for or rejects a particular food, and when your entire self becomes activated by the thought and sensation of another person, a particular person with whom you develop a relationship. The goddess is present when your chakras open to another human, and when you want to smell and taste that person, and when you feel drawn to share sexual communion with him or her. The goddess has been demonized as she has because, if left to your own devices, life would proceed unimpeded according to natural law when it comes to how you live your lives as sexual beings, and nothing about you and how you behave could be controlled. You would be actively and always aware of the fact that your power as a divine being is expressed, focused, and heightened through conscious and loving expression of your natural sexual selves. All discussion of the demonization of the goddess through all these areas of life is about the distance from natural law that you as a species chose to initiate in order to attempt to protect yourselves from the apparent violent whims of nature. These same whims are mirrored in your own bodies and in your own urges and desires, and so these also must be walked away from and demonized according to the prevailing mindset under which you have lived and which you have absorbed for so long. Yet these realities of how you are wired as a human with desires and urges do not go away. You cannot escape them, try as you might. No amount of deceiving yourselves or coercing each other into denying your true natures will possibly alter those true natures. All it will do is inspire you to feel bad about yourself, what you want, and what makes you feel complete as a human. And so it is that many humans are now carrying energetic and emotional debris from the past, including your younger years and your soul's other lives lived along the Earth timeline, which echo each other. This can lead you to make choices about your sexual self and expression about which you feel terrible, guilty, or shameful, or even cause you to shut yourself down sexually. Understand that this is an outgrowth of the political, cultural agenda in which you live, and that it is not a valid reflection of who you are and your worth. It has nothing substantive to offer you by way of right of self-definition, shaming you and inspiring you to carry guilt about how you relate to your sexuality alone and with others is a direct reflection of you being willing to have the goddess within you demonized. Where you experience guilt and shame regarding your sexuality, you must come to make peace with the facts of your choices. You must accept that you have made choices that have, in truth, served the learning journey of your soul, even as they have been difficult and painful. I recommend that you commit to a radical course of self-forgiveness across time, which is to say forgiving yourself for all you have done and chosen in this life, as well as your soul's other lives. This is critically important. In fact, its importance cannot be overemphasized, because you cannot heal and move ahead with your divine evolution as long as you are judging yourself and continually putting yourself on trial for choices you have made. I guarantee you that all you have experienced has served the learning journey of your soul, which is the portion of all that is that you are. I guarantee that you are contributing to the perfection of the divine plan in wonderful ways, no matter what choices you have made. When you are shut down regarding your sexuality, please understand that you are carrying energetic and emotional debris from this life and others, and that this state you are in is a way to protect yourself from taking on more damaging energies and emotions. There is a process I want you to go through. It begins with giving back all energies that you have taken on from others that you can no longer use. Send it back to Source, the so to speak clearinghouse for all energies. Remember a time when someone brought sexual energy to you that made you feel uncomfortable. You may have taken some of that on, taking it into your body somewhere in some way, simply from having been exposed to it. Send all of what you have taken on away. Send it to Source and release yourself of the responsibility for carrying what does not belong to you. It has in one way been useful, so that you, as an individual and a collective, could learn these lessons about natural law and honoring the self and how it is naturally wired. And yet that education can now be complete if you choose to allow it to be. As mentioned above, you have been willing to be demonized for feeling yourself in the ways that you are naturally wired. You have been willing to feel shame for being who you are. As I speak now on the demonization of the goddess and the natural feminine, it is time that you see that it has happened because you needed to experience it. And it has perpetuated because you were not done experiencing it, even if you have struggled through much pain over the course of many lives along the Earth timeline as humans, while saying that you need to be done experiencing it. Are you finished feeling disempowered? Are you done playing out the idea that there is something wrong with you and you should be shamed? If you are drawn to this volume, I expect that you believe you are. But look deeply within yourself, look into your own core, your very own psychic basement, and observe if you are complete with this. Check in to see what kinds of identities you are still carrying about being someone who is victimized because you carry the energy of the natural feminine. And look to any identities you carry that are about being someone who has transgressed against the natural feminine in some way. I guarantee you that you have lived so many and such a wide variety of kinds of lives on Earth, all along its timeline, that you have sampled each and every way of being. All sides of these issues are familiar to all of you. You carry the pain from both sides of this difficult history within you. The answer to the question of whether you are finished feeling disempowered lies in your willingness to surrender these identities as victims and perpetrators, feeling shameful and worthy of guilt, each and every one of them. While the elevation of the masculine has been covered over by an appearance of the diminishment of the feminine, now you can see the truth of why it has happened. I tell you now that in order to shift out of it, you must surrender all of these identities of you as victim and perpetrator. As long as you carry them, you are feeding the destructive system that has grown out of the need to define yourselves in a way of your own choosing. Now you can be complete and move into the future by opening to who you really are and leaving behind all ideas of who you are.